Hey guys, I'm I'm at the movie theater tonight. Tonight is going to be the controversial night. I'm here to see the new Indiana Jones movie. We all know that the Crystal Skull sucked like balls. In just a few minutes, guys, I'm going to be right back to let you know how much this movie sucks. I don't have great expectations for it. The last movie wasn't that great, and he's kind of old. As I was starting to say before, Shia LaBeouf, I don't want him on my movies. Just leave him alone. Just put him somewhere that I don't have to watch him, and I'll be happy with that. Just a few seconds, guys. I'll be right back. All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye. Yeah, it was an Indiana Jones movie. Let's just go over the plot real quick. It's in the very beginning. We open up in the 1940s, at the very end of the war. The Germans had already lost, and they were packing up their treasures that they had accumulated throughout the war. And of course, that's one of the treasures was something that Indy was after, and he was after the Spear of Destiny, one of the more famous religious artifacts. And he was, when he found out it was a fake. So they kind of steered the attention from the Spear of Destiny to the Dial of Destiny. Is it the Spear of Destiny? And then it's the Dial of Destiny? That's a little too close, isn't it? But in the very beginning, we had this really cool action sequence. They hop onto a moving train and they fight. They have this kind of like an epic battle on this moving train. There's even a part where there's like this turret gun that's firing at planes, and the operator of that gun gets shot, so the gun starts firing wildly, and it adds like an extra element to that action sequence, and it actually worked. I thought it was a really cool action sequence. In fact, I remember remarking to myself, this couldn't have been any more Indiana Jones than that scene, and it worked really well. Unfortunately, that was the very last scene that worked really well. Throughout the whole movie, it just seemed it wasn't moving like. Indy, first off, they took a jump. At that very end of that scene, they took a jump to the very end of the 60s. So it was like 1969, the lunar landing, and that was kind of like the backdrop for that particular era of that movie. They CGI'd Indy's face for that very beginning sequence, and it didn't. You could tell that they de-aged him, but it didn't take away from my enjoyment of that. In fact, he seemed to move a little more spry, a little more. That action sequence was a little more action sequency. When they moved him further into 30 years into the future, or like 20 years into the future, at the very beginning of the 1970s. He just seemed to move a little slower, and all the action sequences seemed to reflect that. So they all moved just a tad, little bit slower, and a little less impressive. Like the beginning of this movie really started off strong, and then it just kind of like petered out. I know it sounds like I didn't like this movie. I did, kind of. I can't give this movie a ringing endorsement. It just too many flaws. I'm sorry, I don't know the main character's name. She's right over here. I forget what her name is. I know she was on a television show called Fleabag, which I was advised to watch. I watched one episode and I hated it. I hated that show. But I didn't buy her character. I didn't think she had any chemistry with Harrison Ford whatsoever. There were a couple characters on this movie that I never actually emotionally got connected to. It wasn't the plot. The plot was okay until the very end. That sequence that this device led to, in my head, I kept on thinking, man, this is stupid. This is kind of stupid. I didn't enjoy it. The whole ending of it, like I said, was way too slow. They crawled they had to crawl to the ending, to the finish line, and it was just so unimpressive. I wish this movie had started off with the same momentum and ended with the same momentum, but it didn't. It just fizzled out. And I think that's kind of what I feel like this franchise did was it just kind of aged with the main actor. Let's go ahead and replace Harrison Ford and give us another Indiana Jones, and maybe then we could start caring about this character again. But as it is right now, he's too old, and it doesn't. The movie that he's giving us right now is just doesn't pack the same wallop that the first movie did. Okay, so obviously I didn't like it. I'm gonna go ahead and give it a score. I'm gonna grade it on the later half of 50%. So I'm gonna give it a 65. It was a genuine effort. It did continue the Indiana Jones mythos without like lying to us or changing something like the last movie did. That last movie was a piece of shit. But this movie kind of gave us back our Indiana Jones. It just didn't give enough of it back to us for me to care about it. The only other complaint I have about it is it was painfully obvious to me that this was not a Steven Spielberg movie. I've watched enough of Steven Spielberg movies to notice when we're not getting the same vision that he has. You could tell that a different director was directing this movie. It didn't have the same panache that a Steven Spielberg movie does. His movies are visually appealing and fun to watch. This wasn't. It wasn't. It had nothing interesting about it. So if I were to sum up my review in one word, it was just boring. It was boring. The direction was boring. The action was boring. Even the chemistry between the actors were boring. It just was boring. It was not worth going to the theater to see it. I would recommend seeing it at home. After you watch the other 4 movies, well, 3, and you skip the Crystal Skull and then watch this one. Because I honestly do feel that this is a nice end cap to that 3 movie, to the trilogy. I would recommend watching it at home. Since the 65% is the best I'm going to give this movie. Guys, I don't know when I'm going to see you next. There are a couple movies that I definitely do want to see this summer. Mission Impossible is still coming out. I'm gonna go see that, but I wish I could tell you that I like this movie a lot better than I did. But 65% is the best. As always, I'm going to go and end this by just saying I wish everybody peace. I wish everybody's healthy and well. Montane, I'll talk to you guys later, and goodbye. Is that Trev? That sure looks like Trev.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, you guys are gonna be in my movie review.